This is the Marvel Legends series, Deadpool, the man they call Cable. Back in the 90s, this was a super cool character. If you grew up reading the comic books of Rob Liefeld, X-Force and the New Mutants, previously the New Mutants, and became X-Force. And we got to give credit to Rob Liefeld for bringing in the classic X-Force and this guy, Cable. Most kids now will say, Cable? Why is he called a video or a media subscription service? I mean, as opposed to something like Netflix? Or, I mean, most kids would just laugh off this guy and say, I wouldn't want a toy named Cable. But for us who really grew up the 90s X-Men, this is an absolute must-have figure. And rightly so. Hasbro did a wonderful job with this figure, bringing back a lot of nostalgia with the classic look of Cable. But before we begin, here's a quick look at the packaging. Here are the rest of the figures in the assortment of this 2018 Wave 1 Deadpool wave. And each figure, except the red Deadpool, will give you a piece to form Sasquatch onto this figure. And boy, you know, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Cable. I didn't like that he had this agenda. I mean, he always had this agenda, time traveling. Of course, he's from the future. He knows what's going to happen and all that. He keeps ruining up the present time and all that with all his predictions and all of his fears of what's going to come and all that. But for those of you who are uninitiated, he is supposed to be in another universe or in the current universe, whatever, future of our universe or alternate universe, he is supposed to be Nathan Summers, the supposed offspring of Scott Summers and Jean Grey in another timeline. And that was big news for most of us who grew up in the 90s, saying, oh man, Scott and Jean are going to end up together, they're going to have a kid and all that. But as you all know, well, Jean died and they never had Cable. So he is probably from an alternate universe. And he always comes to the present time and brings something new to the table. Like there's going to be an apocalypse, an end of days scenario that he has to get. He has to protect the child, the Messiah complex and all that. There's always something which, for me, as I got, you know, I was reading a lot of X titles back in the day, and there was so much stories going on. It just gave me a lot of fatigue reading these comic books. That he came up here and there, and then they tried to revive him several times. Then he tried to beat the Avengers, he tried to come back to form a new X-Force team and all that, but he's always, I don't know, there was just something about him that I felt was just overly dramatic. That was just reading up his stories, you know, it was cool reading the first few issues, and then after a while, you know, just wanted. Okay, I'm blabbing. On to the figure itself. 3 minutes in the video, not talked about the figure. Figure looks great, terrific. Let me just give you a close-up look at the details you can expect from this figure, starting from the back. He's got this whole shoulder pad, pistol belt, whole assembly thing. Looking very, very classic, looking very good on him. Hasbro nailed it really with the details of that piece of accessory. There's a lot of wash on it, a lot of weathering. It does not look cartoony. Really, really impressed with it. The head sculpt, wow, look at this. You can't get any 90s Cable any more than this. They nailed that Liefeld Cable head sculpt really, really well. Look at that, nailed it. To his hair, this is how Liefeld drew him. He always had this stupid technological accessory on him, on either his head, on his arm, or whatever, because he's from the future. Yep, even his expression, cybernetic eye, looks to be like a separate piece, not molded in. They just stuck it in with super glue. Not gonna remove it, no problem. He's got this collar piece that's just so Cable. Okay, yep, gloves. I'm glad they chose this version, the first appearance Cable, and not some of the blue and yellow or whatever gaudy type of uniform color on him. Articulation for the figure. He's got a bulge on neck that is on a hinge. He's got a ratcheting ab crunch. It's a little bit hindered by his this vest that he has on. Waist swivel, He's got a ball hinge shoulder, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows go up there, ball hinge wrists. This one goes up and down. The other side goes in and out. Ball jointed hips, limited range of motion. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees. Oh wow, this is tight. Okay, that's just as far as it goes. Okay, calf swivel, ball hinge, ankles with the rocker joints. So all in all, a cool, classic, nostalgic Marvel Legends X-Men or X-Force figure that for those of you who grew up about then in the 90s reading comic books on this one, absolute must-have. Now before we go talk about the accessories, it's made of glossy, just plain blue, dark blue plastic. No weathering on his guns. Some scratching here and there, some bit of detail. Looks okay, doesn't look too plain. So he's got this big gun that has that very thin slit of a blaster barrel, or I don't know. It's a laser gun. It's supposed to be a laser gun. Doesn't do anything or anything like that. You can plug it in on his back. That's pretty cool. He's got two other smaller guns. This one looks more like a pistol, like a shotgun pistol. Sorry. Okay, not a big fan of it. Put it here on his hip, and he's got this sort of futuristic revolving shotgun, Gatling gun. It fits nicely on his hand as well. This one will fit in nicely here. The other hand, well, if at all I have a gripe on it, has that open hand, and really that's really for him to hold the gun, the sort of the barrel of the gun, and you can pose him that way. And that's fine. That's all well and good. But that limits what this other hand can do. It's like a holding or a cradling hand. It doesn't, not like a splayed out hand that you can do more poses with, or a crunching hand. So if at all, I'm nitpicking. It's a small detail, nothing to be worried about. Not a deal breaker for this figure. Definitely a must-have. If at all, I'm gonna give this figure, even if I'm not a big fan of the character, a 10 out of 10 because of the nostalgia it brings to the table, because of how Hasbro nailed all the details of the 90s Liefeld cable. I am absolutely blown away by this figure, and it is no surprise that it is going to be one of the most sought after, scalped, hoarded figure for this wave. And if you can, I mean, the entire wave is great, except for, well, there's some figures that are not worth keeping, like Paladin. I didn't keep Deathlock. I sold Paladin and Deathlock. Deathlock was just okay, but it's a very good figure. Even Paladin is a great figure. I mean, he's just not that popular, so not a lot of fans are picking him up. But if you can get the whole set, it's great. The Sasquatch figure was amazing. You've seen my review on it, and it's a great Build-A-Figure. So it's a great wave all in all. So if you're going to get the entire wave anyway, might as well do so, because it'll be, I guarantee you, it'll be very, very difficult to find this figure sitting on a peg and just waiting. Maybe you'll find one damaged box or something like that in the wild, but trust me, I've looked everywhere, and I pride myself as one of the greatest toy hunters out there here in Manila, but it's very difficult to find him on retail. I actually bought this one as a set at a hobby shop, and it's great. I've never regretted it, and I'm keeping this figure. So there you go, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this little video review. This has been the Marvel Legends series. I know I forgot something. I'm going to do it after the Deadpool, the man they call Cable. And sure enough, I forgot to do one basic important thing in any action figure review, and it is size comparison. I always do it. I don't know why. I always like get carried away in my reviews. I don't know. But I'm just being very irresponsible. I'm sorry. Okay, so here they are with the old X-Men wave, Juggernaut wave Deadpool, and Juggernaut wave Wolverine. And he looks great. He scales fantastic with the other X-Men figures that you might have in your collection. It's great. This is a Cable we've all been waiting for. That previous Cable with the modern X-Force look, didn't keep it, sold it right away. It was okay, but I didn't like the way the story went in the comic book, so I gave it away. Anyway, but here he is. Great scale with a small male body figure and a medium male body figure. Looking really, really sharp. I hope you can find it on retail. But again, as I said, if you like the other characters anyway in the wave, go get the entire wave. That's the easiest way to get this figure. So there you go, folks. Marvel Legends, the classic Cable from the 2018 Wave 1 Deadpool Marvel Legends figures. Thanks for watching.